again. Yes, I know you was wondering, woo, what an outfit, yes. But I am trying to define the several ethnicities that represent our own country here in the Caribbean. And so this week, you are getting the Chinese. I know you like it. But let's not get distracted with the Chinese. Let's continue to talk about this issue of loss and grief, or grief and loss. And I'm really enjoying this. I'm really realizing that we have looked at it basically from one perspective, and I'm glad to bring a more clearer overview of the topic, and to bring a greater balance in terms of how we present ourselves and how we are going to define our way forward. So we have talked about resilience, and we did that twice, I think, yes. Today I want to go a little further in terms of looking at resilience from a coping context. How do we get to cope? How do we redefine our tomorrow? You know, we would have said this before, and I suppose it's a common thought. You really didn't want what happened to happen. We never want anything that is, what is the word I'm looking for here? Not disruptive, yes. Disruptive. We really do not want disruption in our lives. We don't want anything to cause a shift in our daily plans, in our activities. You know, we don't want that. We get up in the morning and we have something structured. Some of us is by work, in terms of employment, or by social life, in terms of recreation, or shopping, and the other conveniences that we want. Some of us maybe planning to do something on the house, build, break down. We have something in our minds as a structure for the day. And alas, there's a disruption. So how do I put things back together post-disruption? Now, I can't go back and not, as I said in the last broadcast, go back in time to make sure it didn't happen. It has happened. The disruption has happened. So I want to be able to get together and work out where I'm going next. One of the things I have to come to terms with is that the people who are around me, those who are helping and supporting, what is in their minds about me changing? What is it in their minds about me getting the place where I am much more resilient and I can handle the new experiences of the new environment? Are they really wanting that for me, or are they thinking about how they would appropriate it if it were them and not if it were me? So we have to come to the place where the people who are around us, and we spoke about that last session, about these communities that are represented here. That's something I think I missed, and I want to bring it back in here. We have to make sure that those people are on the same plane. I did intimate that, but they must really come to you wanting to see you change according to you, rather than wanting to see you change according to them. And that is something that it's an ongoing project in terms of getting people to appreciate that they must be able to change according to them. No, according to you. They must be able to change according to you, not according to them. And so that's important. So that I want us today to begin to see, if I am working with you for your change, what do I offer? Now, I really want to talk about the communities again, but I want to focus in a little more about what is represented. What do I give to somebody in grief? What do I do? What do I tell them? How do I make it possible? Now, the person who is grieving, who has had the loss, they have to decide on the possibilities that are going to help them to go forward. Now, notice I'm using the word possibilities. Why? Because there is a void in a particular dimension, whether it's human service, whether it's a social issue, whether financial, physical, that void represents change. So how do I work with that void to establish a new concept of change? how do I work that void to recognize that there is going to be something different from? I remember some months ago when we were talking about, we must have been talking about grief too, I think. I reckon that. But when we were looking at the particular dimensions of going forward, and I mentioned the butterfly effect. Anybody who listened today will remember that, from the larvae to the caterpillar, from the caterpillar to the puma, from the puma to the butterfly. And so we have to look at that today again, maybe just not directly, but so there's this transition. So therefore, in my loss, how do I appropriate that strength to move from, not to move, to accept that I'm no longer a larvae, I'm a caterpillar, to accept I'm no longer a caterpillar, I'm a puma, and finally to accept that I'm no longer a larvae, I'm a butterfly. So how do I really acknowledge the change? Do I want that transition? So therefore, when I use the word possibility, there is always a possibility for difference, or rather a possibility for growth, because the larvae, in the larvae, there's a possibility, there's already a germ of substance, some kind of chemical that is going to cause me to become a caterpillar. As a caterpillar, I am not staying like that. The possibility is already within me as a caterpillar to become a puma. So therefore, I am filled with possibilities in terms of going forward. But do I want those changes? Or would I want to be a caterpillar for the rest of my life? Because I am so broken that I have lost larvae that I don't know how I'm going to get around. But you see, larvae was just swimming in some water. Caterpillar now has movement. It can move from place to place. And then, it's amazing. There's this move from place to place by the caterpillar, and I get green leaves to eat, and then all of a sudden I'm in a dark place. Oh, we can call that, we can go down another road here. So I'm in a dark place and I'm stationary. I'm hooked onto a branch or a leaf. I ain't going nowhere. So from having a limited movement in a pond as a larvae, coming into a place of caterpillar with some brightness, and I can move around, and then all of a sudden again I am stuck in one place as a puma. I can't move. I am there and I'm in a dark place, and I'm not sure what's happening outside. Everything is in this dark place, but something's changing, and then all of a sudden now I'm butterfly, and now another possibility. The possibility was in that dark place, and that now I can reach out and become the butterfly, and I can reach as far as I wish. I can go as many places as I want to. So I want us to see, in terms of grieving, in terms of that butterfly effect, the possibilities for your coping, the possibilities of bringing you to a place where you can define that strength to go on being, to go on living, to go on enjoying new dimensions of your own life. You see, when death strikes, or when loss strikes, when there's a hurricane and my whole house crashes, or there's a fire, or lose my job, I seem to think that, hey, I can't go any further. Oh, I've lost, I can't work without my spouse, or I need my brother, or I need that particular car. Where will I live? I can't live anywhere else. Hold on. The death of the larvae brings the reality of the caterpillar. The death of the caterpillar brings the reality of a puma. The death of a puma brings the reality of a butterfly. You are going to find a day when you can spread your wings and fly. But we have to acknowledge the expectancy of that change, and the constancy of that change within the movement, so that therefore there are possibilities. And I want you to work with that word. I want you to learn that word in your time of grief, in the time of mourning. I have possibilities for change. I am not supposed to stay here grieving in this one position, as this one position, with this one position for the rest of my life. There are, in that present space, a possibility to do something else. Whether it's a brighter color, mobility, having freedom to crawl and to go from plant to plant, or whether I'm just stuck on this leaf as a puma, but there's a working on the inside, there's transformation going on there, what we call metamorphosis. There are possibilities. And I think it's important for us to work out that concept with my future. Now, going back to popular communities, people may not identify that. There is this somber context that people must be mourning, and we take your time, and I know it is. We have all those saints coming from the outside when your heart is ready to create for its own self and to allow that creation to come forth called possibilities. Because I need to cope. I need to find my end. I need to continue living with the expectations and living with the ideas and the projects that I had before the crisis, before the debt. The issue of crisis or trauma is not to stop me from believing what I believed before. I must still believe. Maybe I believe differently. And that's important. I can believe differently. I can believe with the whole new concept of where I'm going. So it's important for me to have that cognition and to renew that constantly with behavior. I'm actually doing some work on myself here. Therapy. I'm learning to have new thoughts which I am adopting and adapting for change. But I must want it. So therefore, what I'm saying to you, I must not see loss as an end. I must see loss as an opportunity for difference, which brings new possibilities. So, do I want possibilities let me say this better this way. Do I want possibilities within void? In a state of void, do I want to have a possibility? Or am I going to be content to sit within that space of void and not to comprehend a possibility to go forward? I'm just going to say, oh, nothing can be done. I'm lost. I can't. And I maybe get to the place of a puma when I get stuck in that space, in that darkness, and I can be in that darkness for the rest of my life. But in that darkness, in that puma, there is a possibility of a butterfly. Some of us may not want it at all. And I'm not here to discuss that, or to tell you it's wrong not to want it. I am saying to you that we need to be much more alert and aware that I can have a different experience away from what I initially thought. But you see, one of the things we have to also look at is the cultural perspective of grief and loss. People think that you must go through a particular period with a particular demeanor and a particular hopelessness or particular confusion when that may not have been necessary for your own psyche. And I say psyche here, for your own personality development. Your own orientation might be one different from theirs. And so therefore it is easier for you to comprehend and apprehend change and to work out that change differently. I want us to be very much aware that as a person, you own yourself. You own your behaviors. You own those personalities. And it's important for you to not abstractly decide how not to, but you are to commend yourself in terms of going forward and to really enjoy the transitions. You know, I know I have been callous. I've said this openly in a funeral. The person who is dead is dead. You're alive. Two different dimensions. Which one do you want? I mean, the dead person, you can't relate anymore. But there are other people with whom you can relate. There are possibilities of you engaging new friendships, new ideologies, new realities, new social activities. Freshness could come to you, but do you want it? And that's what we talk about when we talk about larvae to caterpillar. The larvae, there is no identity with the caterpillar. You can't look at a larvae and say you're going to be caterpillar, or you can't look at a caterpillar and say you came from a larvae. It's extreme. It's extreme. You can even look at a puma and say, wow, we used to call that Jack in the Box as Sharon. And then all of a sudden, a butterfly? A I mean, it's out of your mind. They don't relate. And that's the thing about grieving. And that's the thing about overcoming grief. So after I come out of my denial and anger, my bargaining, where is my acceptance is working through the possibilities that are here for me. And I want us to really capture those contexts of possibilities and work it. Now, as I said, we have these communities with which I have to work with. So I have to help family identify with those possibilities. I have to have friends, colleagues, students, living partners, football players. I have to people around me who represent or who are represented in these communities. I have to help them to appreciate this. Otherwise, I can be stuck for life. I am not to be stuck. I have to find a new context in which I am really working out my future. I want to capture the whole context here. I bring in another issue of how do I develop that concept of empathy. If I am with you, I am not saying that I'm going to be sympathizing, and that's what happens with public. Public sympathizes. They're feeling sorry for you. Oh God, she gone. Oh God, you lose your job. Oh Lord, the husband down. Hold on. I don't want you to be pitying me, because we have to go forward. You see, pitying might keep me remembering that I had and I don't have. How can I? But if I empathize, if I come into that place where I can say, yes, I feel for you, but I'm recognizing there is more that can be done, I want to help you, that brings a different kind of emotion. And that's what I think public needs to have. An empathetic personality or mindset where we are helping the griever to go forward, to move away from their loss, move away from the identifying of having nothing, to realize, yes, I could be something. And I could be more than I even was. You know, I wonder what better life is. I have people talking, especially in funerals, they go to a better life. I am not too sure. I don't use it at all. I am really not one of those people. I think better life is right here when I learn to overcome tragedy and trauma, and I really find better that. Let me tell you something. It is better to be a butterfly than be a larvae. Yes, but I need to be a larvae to get to the butterfly. Oh, isn't that something? So I cannot want to be a larvae. I have to be a larvae to be a butterfly. So I want to bring that transition to you today. It's important for us to find that emotion of being empathetic, identifying with and helping the person move forward, not to sympathize and make them feel pitiful and dejected and can't seem to do anything, and they're weak and they will never get, it will take some time. Hold on. There's a specific time. You know, that caterpillar, no matter how, when it starts to be a caterpillar, there's going to be a season when it's going to stop being a caterpillar. And you can't stop it. It's going to become a pupa. And then that pupa is going to go through a period of time that's going to become a butterfly. That butterfly now has a lifespan. So that we can get back into a very enjoyable lifespan. And life enjoyment, life reality, if we'll allow ourselves to find those emotions, positive emotions that's attached to empathy, working with people who want to take us forward rather than to keep us where we are. I trust that we're getting to the point today in terms of how to bring possibilities. And those possibilities, as I said, sometimes they're not known to you, they're already in you. And this is a time when they come out of you because there's so much thought-provoking. There's so much things you want to do or wish you can do, and realize, hey, I can do it now. Let me therefore identify with the now. Let me therefore identify with what's happening and how it is to happen all the time. It is really, really important for me to work out how we are going to share and to be very, very, productive, positive, successful in our future. So, when we talk about grief, we are talking about future. When we talk about grief, we're talking about possibilities. When we talk about grief, we talk about change, transition. All those verbs are there. It is not about down, dead, done. It's about life, life, life. So, count it joy when you think of the possibility that you have in being a larvae or in being a caterpillar, because one day you're going to be a butterfly. You're going to be able to rise and open your wings and fly high and do well. So, as we go on, and I'm going to continue a little bit about grief. I have a few more things to tell you about this. But today, possibilities make a difference. Possibilities are there for you. Take them. It's not time to be there still being angry, but accept the fact that, hey, there has been a loss, there has been trauma, there's been a negative feeling, but I need to come out of that negative feeling, come out of the cold water and get into the breeze, which takes me higher and higher. God bless you as you continue to strengthen within yourself the possibilities and teach others that you are much more than a larvae. You have potential to fly. Dr. Nair saying good evening and have a great week.